A law student stopped responding to her loved ones, and soon they raised the alarm. Once the police got involved, the case began to unfold with twists and turns you wouldn't find even in a crime thriller, and when detectives finally uncovered the truth, the story turned into one of the most sinister and chilling cases in the country's history. Lauren Giddings was born on April 18, 1984, in Tacoma Park, Maryland. She grew up in a loving family with caring parents and two younger sisters she was especially close to. From a young age, Lauren had a deep faith and a strong desire to help others. That's why she chose to become a public defender, someone who stands up for people who can't afford a lawyer. To make that dream a reality, she enrolled at Mercer University and moved to Mon, Georgia. To make that dream a reality, she enrolled at Mercer University and moved to Mon, Georgia. Lauren excelled in her studies and even became president of Mercer's chapter of the Federalist Society. She later landed an internship at a law firm in Atlanta where she met a man named David, and the two soon started dating. After she returned to Mon, they kept their relationship going long distance and planned to get married once Lauren finished law school. In the summer of 2011, when Lauren was 27, she finally graduated. She spent weeks preparing for it, taking a short break only to attend her younger sister's wedding back home in Maryland. Not long after that, she told her friends and family she was going to spend the next few days completely focused on studying and asked them not to disturb her. But a few days later, on June 29th, her sister started to worry. She was on her honeymoon at the time and had been sending her photos from the trip, but Lauren hadn't opened a single message. Her sister knew Lauren was focused on studying, but the fact that she hadn't even read the messages for days felt unsettling. The friend tried calling first, but the calls went straight to voicemail. The first thing they noticed was that Lauren's car was still parked outside, but when they knocked, no one answered. Inside, the place was a mess, but that wasn't necessarily alarming. But Lauren herself was nowhere to be found. On the other hand, her purse, phone, even laptop were still there. None of it made any sense. The friends started calling around, reaching out to people who knew Lauren, and soon several of them joined the search. They also learned that no one had seen or spoken to Lauren for days. When her family found out what was happening, they drove from Maryland to Georgia to help. But when morning came and there was still no trace of her, they finally decided to call the police. Still, her sudden disappearance seemed deeply suspicious, so they called in forensic specialists to process the scene. At first, nothing unusual showed up, but the moment they reached the bathroom, the lumino lit up almost the entire tub. There was just too much blood for anyone to still be alive, so investigators quickly shifted their focus to finding Lauren's body, one he instantly recognized as the smell of decomposition. Following the scent, he walked toward the apartment complex's dumpsters, and inside that bag was a woman's torso. Although the victim's identity couldn't be confirmed visually since her head was missing, detectives were almost certain it was Lauren. It's worth noting that finding the remains was pure luck. The officer had arrived at the complex just minutes before the garbage truck was scheduled. As detectives waited for confirmation of the victim's identity and tried to figure out their next steps, they learned something that immediately caught their attention. She said that sometimes when she came home, it felt like someone had moved her belongings around, but there were no signs of a break-in and the door was always locked. This had been going on for quite a while, to the point where Lauren started wondering if she was losing her mind. Growing increasingly uneasy, she even bought a door security bar to brace the door from the inside. But the strange things didn't stop. Shortly before she disappeared, Lauren had told her boyfriend about it. Every surface seemed freshly wiped down with cleaning products. In hopes of finding something, they decided to remove the entire bathtub and send it to the lab for DNA testing. Not long after, medical examiners confirmed that the torso found in the dumpster was indeed Lauren's, officially turning the case into a homicide. They estimated that she'd been killed around June 26th, roughly 3 days before her friends and family started looking for her. However, the exact cause of death couldn't be determined, and there were no signs of sexual assault. Despite detectives' efforts to keep the investigation under wraps, the sudden police activity drew attention from reporters. Detectives decided to question everyone living in the complex and checked their apartments, just in case the killer was someone who lived right next door. He wasn't just some random neighbor. He'd been her classmate, a fellow law student, and even served as vice president of the same student law society where Lauren was president. So, yes, he knew her very well. But for some reason, he was refusing to let police see his apartment. And yet, He stayed right in the middle of everything happening around the complex, hovering near officers, chatting with other residents, and talking to journalists. During the interview, Stephen told reporters how he and a few of Lauren's friends had gone into her apartment and searched the neighborhood trying to find her. But while talking about Lauren, he started referring to her in the past tense, even though at that point, no one yet knew for sure she was dead. Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. The last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since. And did you see her hang out with anyone at the time or anything like that? No. No one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. You always hear noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much. And she just recently graduated from Mercer. Yeah, she and we were both JD students. We graduated back in May. What kind of person was she? What did you see her? She's as nice as can be. Very personable, very much a people person. Do you know any enemies you might have had? Somebody that might want to hurt her? No. We don't know where she is. The only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her because, we went over, one of her friends had a key. We went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss. But she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it, so there was no sign that anyone broke in. Door was locked when everyone got here. His face changed instantly. He froze, staring off into space, not saying a word. The journalist kept talking, asking if he was okay. What about, in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of, I think that's where they had recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there. Had you seen anything there? You know what I mean? Like they took out a body there earlier. But we don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's why we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir? I think I need to sit down. Okay. Eventually, he resumed the interview, trying to answer questions again, though now he was acting very dramatic. I don't know anyone that would want to hurt her. She was as nice person as there is. A few hours later, Stephen suddenly changed his mind and told police they could search his apartment after all. Large piles of canned food, energy drinks, random junk, and a lot of weapons. But what really caught their attention came next. A master key that could open any door in the complex, and another one, a duplicate that fit Lauren's apartment specifically. When they confronted him, Stephen admitted that he'd broken into several neighboring units when the tenants weren't home. And in one case, he'd stolen a box of condoms, strangely. He added that he was a virgin, but he never explained why he took them in the first place. Detectives decided to use that confession to their advantage. They arrested him for burglary and took him down to the station for questioning. Meanwhile, officers continued searching his apartment, and that's when they found an empty hacksaw package. Considering the killer had dismembered the victim, this discovery sent an immediate chill through the room. Police found 2 USB drives filled with illegal material involving minors, along with a pair of women's underwear hidden in the closet. When investigators checked his computer, they discovered that Stephen had been visiting Lauren's social media pages obsessively. At the same time, his browser history showed he'd been consuming violent and disturbing adult content. Sometimes, while looking at Lauren's photos, all of this convinced detectives beyond any doubt that Stephen was involved in Lauren's murder. And since he had a key to her apartment, plus Lauren's repeated complaints about things being moved around while she was gone, the picture started to come together. Stephen had been sneaking into her home all along. Still, there was one major problem. They didn't yet have any solid evidence directly linking him to the crime. During questioning, detectives tried everything they could to get a confession. But Stephen's behavior was pretty weird. And you'd lived next to Lauren for a long time. Yes. Have you ever seen her with that dress on? No. I was talking to people that he works with and everything. They talk about how he's always expresses himself. But you don't know. He's very talkative. Stephen, they say you're so talkative, buddy, that you're always so friendly you stop in and say hello and you talk. What? Why is it that you're acting so short with us tonight? Well, you sure were talking to the media tonight, weren't you? They asked what happened. I told them I knew that you didn't know. Do you realize how you're talking right now? Does it not feel weird to you? No. You're just not expressing yourself at all. Everything's with you is yes. No, I don't remember. I don't understand. That was your friend. Nothing. You going to let things go down like this? I don't know what you want. I want the truth, Stephen. You did something stupid and I believe you feel bad about it, and that's why you all freaked out right now. Your hair is there. We got your hair with the body. How was that, Stephen? I don't know. Yes, you do know. See this stuff right here? Your hair? Yeah. It fell out of your head when you was moving the body. Stephen, eventually, the detectives left him alone in the interrogation room, and Stephen just sat there for a long time, perfectly still, staring blankly at the wall. Just stay right here. Okay. 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 I appreciate all your cooperation tonight. Okay. Okay. Officers also asked him to remove his shirt so they could check for any recent injuries. That's when they noticed several scratches across his torso. When asked about them, Stephen simply said he had no idea where they came from. Police eventually realized there was no way they'd get a confession out of Stephen, so they shifted their focus to finding hard evidence. They began combing through every inch of the apartment complex, and soon they caught a break. In a maintenance room, officers discovered a hacksaw that perfectly matched the packaging found in Stephen's apartment. It had clearly been scrubbed clean, but forensic experts still managed to find tiny fragments of human tissue on the blade, and DNA tests confirmed they belonged to Lauren. From there, detectives traced the purchase of that same saw back to a local hardware store and pulled the surveillance footage from that day. On the video, clear as day, was Stephen McDaniel buying the saw himself. Investigators also interviewed the maintenance worker who had access to that room, but the man provided a solid alibi for the night of the murder. That left only one person who could have opened the door: Stephen, the man with the master key. Detectives then started digging deeper into his background and talking to people who knew him. Everyone described Stephen as quiet, withdrawn, and just strange, but also very intelligent. The only person who ever tried to be kind to him was actually Lauren. She found him a bit unusual, but still treated him with respect and kindness. Over the 3 years they lived next door, Stephen had asked her out several times, but Lauren had always politely turned him down. Outside of school, he barely had a life. He spent nearly all of his time at home with his curtains, constantly drawn and no one ever coming or going. In the weeks following Stephen's arrest, police kept searching for more evidence, but every lead came up empty. They also continued combing through nearby areas, hoping to find the rest of Lauren's remains, but that search ended in failure. The only thing detectives managed to uncover was a lab report confirming that the pair of women's underwear found in Stephen's apartment belonged to Lauren. But soon after, investigators discovered something that sent chills, even down the spines of seasoned detectives. On one of the memory cards seized from Stephen's apartment, they found a video recorded just hours before Lauren's death. Using a long wooden stick, Stephen had taped a small camera to the end of it and lifted it up to Lauren's window, secretly filming the inside of her apartment. And the truth was, most of what they had was circumstantial, so a skilled defense attorney could easily plant doubt in the minds of the jury. After some consideration, the prosecution made a calculated decision at some point. Lauren managed to tear off his mask, and when she did, she saw it was Stephen. Lauren begged him to stop, but he didn't. Despite his efforts, the appeal was denied. In 2022, Stephen filed yet another one, but that too was rejected. It's worth mentioning that some of his relatives still insist he was framed. His father even created a fundraising page to hire a new lawyer for him, but no one donated a single dollar, and the page was quickly taken close.